Hello guys, today I'll be moving on from the gas and oil industry and I'll be analyzing three network companies. The first company I'll analyze is Netapp, the second company is JNPR, and the third company is IBM. I'll be analyzing their financial results and providing you my opinion. I'd like to start the video by discussing their respective share price and their respective earnings. The first company, Netapp, has beaten its second, third, and its fourth quarterly earning last year. The company bet its first quarterly earning this year, and as we can see from Yahoo Finance, the estimate for its earnings in the second quarter this year is higher than the estimate for its second quarter last year. From the graph, we can see that the company at the beginning of the pandemic was at 53.4 and it reached a peak of 91.9. The next company, JNPR, bet its first and second quarterly earning, it met its third, and it bet its fourth quarterly earning last year. And here again we can see that the estimate for its first quarterly earning this year is greater than the estimate for its first quarterly earning last year. In terms of the share price, the company at the beginning of the pandemic was at 22.86 and it reached a peak of 37.16. Lastly, IBM, according to Yahoo Finance, bet its second, third, and fourth quarterly earning, and it bet its first quarterly earning this year. However, it didn't beat the earning estimates by a large margin. And unfortunately, the estimate for its second quarterly earning this year is the same as the estimate for its second quarterly earning last year. In terms of the share price, the company at the beginning of the pandemic was at 137.41 and it's reached a peak of 140. So we can see that IBM did not experience a lot of growth during this time period, and we can see that the share price didn't increase by a large margin either. Now, let us move on to their financial statements. The first financial statement belongs to Netapp. For those who don't know, Netapp provides software systems and it provides cloud services. It is in a market which has a lot of competition. Large names such as Windows, Apple, and Microsoft are investing in cloud services. So there's a lot of pressure in this market, a lot of competitors, and it's difficult to increase profitability. Now, from Netapp's financial statement, we can see that the company is having some problems. The revenue fell from 6 billion in 2019 to 5.7 billion in 2021. Income followed this pattern. Income in 2019 was at 1.169 billion, and it fell to 730 million in 2021. The company could improve their income slightly by reducing expenses, but most importantly, we need to see a rise in revenue in the near future. Another thing worth mentioning is the company's management. The company seems to have good management, as they did reduce their financial activity during this time period. Financial activity fell from negative 2 billion to a positive 444,000. This likely indicates that the company is selling their shares, and therefore the share price could potentially fall. In any case, this is a good sign. The company is responding well to their problems. They're trying to get back cash from their shares. This can be seen from the fact that cash rose during this time period from 3.899 billion to 4.596 billion in 2021. Hopefully the company uses the cash from their shares in order to improve their financial result. They could improve their financial result by reducing current liabilities. A reduction in current liabilities would improve their current asset-current liability ratio, and it would also increase their equity, which fell from 1 billion in 2019 to 685 million in 2021. In any case, that is all I have to say about Netapp. And now let us move on to the next company. The next company is JNPR. And this company designs, develops, and sells network products around the world. Yet again, this company is in a highly competitive market. There are a lot of competitors in their market, and it's difficult to maintain the same position, and it's difficult to increase profitability. In any case, from their financial statement, we can see that JNPR increased its revenue by a small margin from 4.445 billion in 2020 to 4.735 billion in 2022. Unfortunately, their income fell. Their income fell from 345,000 in 2020 to 252,000, from 345 million in 2020 to 252 million in 2022. Their income is too small compared to their revenue, and compared to their equity. This indicates to me that the company's expenses are way too high. The company needs to reduce its general, administrative, and sales expenses, and it needs to reduce its research and development expenses. This would lead a substantial decrease in these expenses would lead to a substantial rise in income, and that would be very positive news for us as investors. The second thing I'm concerned about is their financial activity. Their financial activity is way too high. It was in 2020, it was at negative $1,228,000,000, and it fell by a very, very small margin. It fell to $1,131,000,000 in 2022. The company is over gratifying their shareholders. Too much money is spent on their shares. The company's income fell by such a large amount, and they shouldn't be spending so much money on their shares. What I'd like to see from the company is a decrease in financial activity. And instead of investing in their shares, they should use the money to improve their financial statement. For example, they could reduce their current liabilities, which would again improve the ratio between current assets and current liabilities, and would also lead to an improvement in equity. That's all I have to say about JNPR. Even though the company is buying their shares back from their financial statement, I do not believe that the share price will experience a substantial rise. Before buying back their shares, they need to improve their financial statement first. In any case, let us now move on to IBM. The final company in this analysis is IBM. And from their financial result, it seems like the company is in a terrible, terrible state. Firstly, the company's experienced a substantial fall in revenue from 77 billion in 2020 to 57 billion in 2022. Consequently, income fell by a substantial amount as well. Income fell from 9 billion to 5,743,000,000 in 2022. The company's expenses are extremely high. They need to reduce their general, administrative, and sales expenses, and they need to reduce their costs of sales. This would lead to an improvement in income, which would be positive news for us as investors. But most importantly, the company needs to improve its revenue. What's highly concerning about the company is that their financial activity is extremely high. the financial activity went from 9 billion in 2020 to negative 13 billion in 2022. The company experienced massive fall in revenue and in income, so they should not be spending so much money on their shares. They are overspending, and this spending needs to fall. The company should use the cash from their financial activity in order to reduce their current liabilities, which is currently higher than their current assets. A fall in current liabilities would lead to a substantial improvement in the ratio between current assets and current liabilities, and it would improve the small equity the company has right now. In any case, that is all I have to say about this company. Let us now rate all three companies. Now, I'm going to place IBM in the trash section. The company needs to increase their revenue and their income by a substantial amount. They need to reduce their expenses, and most importantly, they need to reduce their financial activity. I'd like to see the company use the cash in order to reduce their current liabilities instead of buying their shares. Even though the company is purchasing a substantial amount of their shares, I doubt that the share price will rise. The company needs to improve their financial statement before they start spending on their shares. The next company, JNPR, is going to be placed in the careful section. Here again, the company needs to improve their revenue. They need to reduce their expenses, which are currently way too high. And they need to reduce their financial activity. If they do this, then they may be placed in the OK section. But for now, I am placing them in the careful section. Netapp is going to be placed in the careful section as well. Although the company did suffer, the company did sustain a loss during this time period, but they are still in a stable condition. And if they manage to push back their company, improve their financial results so that their financial results are comparable to 2019, then I will place the company in the OK section. But for now, I'm going to place Netapp in the careful section. In any case, that is all I have to say about the three companies. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like and subscribe. And see you in the next video.